Egypt gave us the perfect tomb. Babylon gave us the living tower. Two visions of technology, two ways of being in the world. But then came a third way, a question that would change everything. Can we hold both principles together?
After the monumental stone mountains of Egypt and the bureaucratic data streams of Babylon, a revolution unfolded in ancient Greece. A revolution not made of granite, but of pure thought. While the pharaohs tamed the world through sheer organization, the Greeks began to dissect the very principle of building itself. They called it Techne. For a Greek like Plato or Aristotle, Techne was not a mere object. It was a state of mind, a knowledge and rule-governed skill.
A shipbuilder possessed Techne not because he could hammer a nail, but because he understood the logos, the rational principle behind the ship.
Aristotle defined Techne as a state that involves true reason in relation to production. With this, the Greeks brought intelligence back from the temple archives into the human mind. The mind became the processor, following logical rules. This formalization of thought was the necessary software development before anyone could think about the right hardware. Techne was the Greek attempt to find a middle path, not the cold calculation of the Gestell, not the wild openness of Poiesis, but a synthesis, a knowing, rule-governed creation that still left room for the unexpected. Let's recall the two principles we've encountered. Egypt gave us the Gestell, control, order, perfection, the pyramid as monument. Babylon gave us Poiesis, creative revealing, chaos, the unfinished tower as a living project. But Greece asked a new question. Can we hold both together? Can we create something that is both logically ordered and creatively open? The Greeks called this synthesis Techne, not a compromise, not a middle ground, a higher synthesis.
Techne speaks a new language. It combines logos, reason, with harmonia, harmony, proportion, symmetry, a vision of the cosmos as a single, beautiful, mathematically intelligible whole.
Gestell controls, Poiesis creates, Techne understands. This is the Greek gift to the world, the belief that the universe itself follows logical rules and that the human mind can discover them. Centuries after this philosophical groundwork, the next logical step followed, the construction of a machine that could execute these logical rules physically. In the year 1901, sponge divers off the island of Antikythera discovered a corroded bronze object. What they found was nothing less than the first analog computer in the world, dating from around 150 to 100 BCE. Hidden in a casing the size of a shoebox was a complex system of over 30 gear wheels. This device was more than 1,000 years ahead of its time. It was the mechanical realization of the Greek cosmos. It could calculate solar and lunar eclipses with astonishing precision. It could track the movements of the planets. It was a dynamic simulation, a universe in a box. The Antikythera mechanism is a direct continuation of what began in Sumer, but with a crucial difference. The Sumerians froze the world in static data on clay tablets. They recorded. The Greeks built a dynamic machine that could process that data. The world was no longer just recorded, it was simulated. This is the fundamental drive of our civilization, to model the world in order to predict the future and control reality. If the universe follows mathematical laws, so the Greek logic went,
then it can be understood and recreated by a machine. Here, for the first time, intelligence is no longer bound to biological life. It exists in the arrangement of bronze gears.
The Antikythera mechanism is the direct ancestor of modern artificial intelligence. It is the first attempt to map the universe in a mechanical algorithm. The line from these ancient gears to the neural networks of a modern supercomputer is unbroken. It is the history of the human dream of building a world machine.
A machine that not only explains the world, but ultimately, in its logical perfection, replaces it.
This is Techne at its highest expression. A knowing, rule-governed creation that builds a second, artificial world. With Greek Techne and the Antikythera mechanism, humanity became the architect of a second, artificial world. We learned that we could externalize the mind, not just as a dead image on a cave wall or a list on clay, but as an active process. The dream of capturing the universe in a box was born. But this universe, cast in bronze, was still a single precious object, accessible only to a few. Greek Techne had decoded the logic of the cosmos, but it had not yet found a way to preserve this knowledge for eternity. This task would fall to another civilization, not in Hellas, but in the gleaming metropolis of Alexandria. In our next episode, we travel to the great library of Alexandria, where the entire knowledge of the ancient world was gathered into a single central repository, the first data warehouse of civilization. But this centralization, this gathering of all knowledge in one place, would prove to be both a triumph and a tragedy. If you're enjoying this journey, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. Share your thoughts in the comments. What do you think? Is the Antikythera mechanism the first computer?